You are kneeling in the cold dirt, your hands bound with rough rope. A crowd circles you, faces you once knew. Someone is chanting a prayer. Someone else is chanting your sin. A metal brand hisses in the fire. A stone is lifted. A confession is demanded. And you realize something horrifying. It never mattered whether you cheated. In medieval Europe, a woman's guilt was decided long before her story ever began. You are born into a world where your worth is measured before you can speak and decided before you can dream. Medieval Europe is not a land of shining castles and heroic knights. It is a world where the air itself feels heavy with rules. Rules carved not in parchment, but in the bones of every woman. You are born knowing the sound of church bells, but not the sound of your own choices. You are taught how to weave, how to kneel, how to keep your voice soft and your eyes lowered. You are taught one lesson again and again, like scripture. Your purity is not yours. It is theirs. Before you are 12, your father has already begun whispering about alliances. Marriage is not romance. It is currency. And you are the coin. Your body is the bridge between families, the treaty between rivals, the guarantee of peace. But that bridge is allowed only one direction, obedience. In the market, you watch wives walking behind their husbands, heads bowed slightly, not out of humility, but out of fear of being misunderstood. A wrong smile, an accidental glance, a moment of laughter with the wrong person, and whispers begin. Rumors travel faster than horses, and in this world, a rumor can be a sentence. You learn early that silence is safer than truth, and invisibility is safer than attention. Inside cold stone houses, women whisper their warnings. Never be alone with a man who isn't your husband. Never speak too loudly. They'll say you're shameless. Never disagree. They'll say you're dangerous. The message is clear. Adultery is not something you do. It's something they can decide you did. You haven't even lived yet, but the punishment has already been prepared for you. The church stands at the center of every town like a silent judge. Its doors are always open, but its mercy is not. Priests preach about sin in voices that echo through stone corridors, and the word adultery sounds like a curse carved into the very air. You sit among other women, listening as the priest speaks of Eve, the woman who tempted, who sinned, who fell. And because she fell, every woman after her must carry the weight. Men hear stories of valor and war. Women hear stories of guilt and shame. You start to believe that you are naturally flawed, dangerous even. The church teaches that a husband owns his wife's body. If she strays, she has sinned against God, against heaven, against the natural order. But if the husband strays, the sermons grow quiet. Silence becomes doctrine. Your education is simple, sharp, and suffocating. A woman's desire is sinful. A woman's independence is rebellion. A woman's voice is a threat. A woman's body belongs to God until marriage. Then it belongs to her husband. And worst of all, a woman's truth means nothing if a man contradicts it. You watch trials where women insist they are innocent, voices shaking, eyes wide with terror. Their words dissolve like smoke. No one listens. No one defends them. Some cry. Some scream. Some kneel and pray. It doesn't matter. In this world, men swear oaths. Women swear silence. Even queens draped in silk and crowned with gemstones fear the same judgment. A crown does not protect a woman from suspicion. Rumors swirl even inside royal walls, carried by jealous courtiers, rejected lovers, or political rivals. You begin to understand the truth. Adultery had nothing to do with love, nothing to do with betrayal, nothing to do with sin. It was simply the easiest weapon society had to keep women trembling. And once the accusation fell upon you, the system would close like a trap. By the time you reach adulthood, your world is already mapped out for you. Every step, every gesture, every breath regulated by rules you never agreed to. There are lines everywhere, invisible, silent, and deadly if crossed. You cannot walk beside a man unless he is family. You cannot accept a gift from another man, even if it is innocent. You cannot remain in a room alone with someone who is not your husband. A door closing behind you can ruin your life. And yet the most terrifying line is the one you cannot see, the line between suspicion and guilt. Once your name crosses that boundary, there's no way back. Women are watched constantly. Neighbors watch you when you hang laundry. Servants watch you when you speak softly. Priests watch you when you kneel for confession. Your own husband watches you most of all, not for your happiness, but for signs, for proofs, for any shadow that could be twisted into a crime. You live knowing that a single moment, a glance, a rumor, a jealous rival, can drag you into a nightmare. And medieval society is not interested in the truth. It wants spectacle, judgment, a woman to punish so others will fear. And so you learn to shrink, to fold yourself inward, to breathe quietly, to walk carefully, to exist in a way that does not draw attention. Because even innocence is a fragile shield here. This is the world you inherit. A world where women walk on ground that cracks beneath them. A world ready to label you a sinner before you've ever had the chance to live. And as the chapter closes, one truth rises like a whisper. In medieval Europe, a woman didn't have to betray her husband to be punished. She only had to exist in a society built to condemn her. It always began quietly. A whisper, a glance that lingered too long, a neighbor leaning in a little closer to listen. In medieval Europe, an accusation didn't need thunder. It needed only a spark. And women lived in constant fear of that spark. You wake one morning, the sun warmed to the shutters, and by sundown, your entire world may be burning. Because the accusation rarely came from truth. It came from envy, rivalry, anger, or boredom. Maybe a servant resented you. Maybe a neighbor disliked your tone. Maybe your husband came home drunk and wanted someone to blame. Or maybe, worst of all, you were simply beautiful and beauty made people talk. One vague comment. She smiles too easily. I saw her walking near the river with someone. Her husband travels often, who knows? And suddenly your innocence becomes a question instead of a fact. People gather stories not to understand, but to judge. A man might be allowed drunken mistakes, flirtations, or even affairs, but a woman breathing in the wrong direction, was enough to taint her name. Soon, you notice women looking away when you pass, men lowering their voices, a priest watching you a bit too carefully during confession. And then it comes, a knock on the door, a summons, a concerned neighbor telling your husband they saw something troubling. You haven't done anything, yet the accusation begins to crawl through the streets like wildfire. Your life isn't falling apart because of what you did. It's falling apart because someone decided to speak. And in this world, a woman has no defense against a whisper. The moment suspicion touches your name, it becomes something else. Something heavier, darker, impossible to wash away. No one asks if the rumor is true. They ask who else heard something. No one seeks facts. They seek patterns, clues, hints, even if they must invent them. Your neighbor recalls that you once walked to the well alone. That becomes, she meets someone there. Your servant remembers you hummed a song while cooking. That becomes, she is happier than a faithful wife should be. A merchant recalls you asked about the price of spices. That becomes, she tries to attract men. Every ordinary act becomes suspicious when seen through the lens of accusation. And worst of all is your husband. His pride hangs by a thread. In a society where a man's honor depends on controlling his wife, even a rumor of infidelity is humiliation. You watch his eyes change. First confusion, then doubt, then a coldness that frightens you. He asks questions that feel like blades. Where were you yesterday? Who saw you at the market? Why were you smiling? At whom? You try to explain, but innocence sounds like excuses in a world that has already decided your guilt. By evening, you hear that the priest has been informed. And once the church steps in, the matter is no longer domestic. It becomes divine. Adultery is not just a betrayal. It is a sin heavy enough to stain the soul. The priest visits with an expression carved from stone. He speaks slowly, deliberately, using the word purity like a dagger. He asks you questions you cannot answer correctly. Do you deny speaking to other men? Do you deny wandering alone? Do you deny the temptations of the flesh? No matter what you say, denial sounds like defiance, and defiance sounds like guilt, because the truth doesn't matter. The accusation does. Night falls, but sleep is impossible. Your home, once warm, once familiar, now feels like the walls are listening. Every creak sounds like someone approaching. Every shadow feels like judgment. You lie awake, wondering how your life unraveled without a single mistake. Outside, torches flicker as neighbors pass by, and you feel their eyes through cracks. They are not looking to help. They are looking to confirm a story they already enjoy telling. Your husband doesn't speak to you. The priest returns with 2 church guards. Your fate shifts from rumor to investigation. And here's the cruel reality. In medieval Europe, the investigation was not to discover the truth. It was to confirm your guilt. You are told to submit to questioning. You are asked whether you feel remorse. Remorse for what? For a sin you did not commit? But innocence is irrelevant. The system is older than you, bigger than you, designed long before you were born. A woman accused of adultery is like a sheep marked for slaughter. She can bleat, cry, protest, but the path still leads forward. You try to piece together how it began. Was it the neighbor? The servant? Your own husband, ashamed of something and needing to deflect? A jealous rival? A man you refused? It doesn't matter. The machine has already started turning. And the moment it turns, it never stops. You realize something chilling, something every woman fears but never says aloud. You don't need to cheat to be punished as an adulteress. You only need someone to decide you did. As dawn approaches, the church bells begin to ring, the summons for your first public questioning. Your heart beats like a trapped animal. You stand at the doorway, rope biting into your wrists, and you understand this is not a trial. This is an execution waiting for a formality. The accusation has already sentenced you. Everything that comes next is merely the ceremony. The hall is cold. A long stone chamber, lit by torches that drip wax like slow tears. Shadows stretch across the floor, twisting like hands reaching for you. The church guards lead you inside, their grip firm, not cruel, not gentle, simply final, as if they already know how this ends. A priest stands at the far end, his robes dark, his expression unchanging. Behind him, a crowd gathers, neighbors, strangers, even children who have followed out of curiosity. But no one in that room is here to defend you. They are here to witness the ritual. This is not justice. This is theater. Wooden benches creak as villagers sit down, whispering your name as if it's a curse. You hear fragments. She seemed too confident. I always suspected. She walked with her head high. What else could it mean? Each whisper cuts deeper than the one before. You feel your knees weaken, but the guards keep you upright. You must stand. Every accused woman must stand. The priest begins to speak, his voice echoing against stone walls. He talks of purity, of sacred vows, of sins that corrupt the soul, of women who lead men astray. And then he says your name, not tenderly, not gently, but with the slow precision of someone carving a word into wood. You wait for someone, anyone, to step forward in your defense. No one does. Why would they? Defending an accused woman is dangerous. It makes people whisper about you. The priest raises a heavy book, the Bible, but to you, it feels like a hammer. He announces that because men disagree on your innocence, and because neighbors are conflicting testimonies, God must be the judge. And God does not judge with words. He judges with wounds, burns, and scars. Your breath turns shallow. Your vision blurs. Your heart thrashes desperately inside you, because you now know what comes next. The ordeal, the test, the moment where either your innocence or your flesh will be sacrificed. And in this room full of torches and watching eyes, you realize that God is not the one on trial. You are. They bring forward two choices. Neither of them choices at all. Trial by hot iron, or trial by boiling water. Your knees tremble. Women fear both. But some say water is worse, because you must reach into the boiling pot long enough to retrieve a stone. If your arm blisters, you are guilty. If it does not, you are innocent. But no arm escapes boiling water unscarred. Others prefer the iron. A burning hot bar you must carry 3 steps. Your hand will sear. The question is how quickly, and how long the burns will last. They bandage the wound, wait 3 days, then inspect it. If it festers, guilty. If it heals clean, innocent. But clean healing was impossible in a world without medicine. You are not being tested. You are being eliminated. The priest gestures to the pot beside you. Steam rises in thick clouds, curls twisting like smoke from a funeral pyre. The water bubbles violently, spitting droplets that hiss when they hit the iron basin. You stare at it, your heart accelerating with dread. A woman beside you whispers, "Don't scream. It will make them think you're wicked." But how do you not scream when your flesh is about to be boiled? The priest prays in Latin as if invoking divine justice. But what justice requires a woman's skin to be melted just to prove she is faithful? Then the ritual begins. Hands shove you forward. Torches brighten. The crowd leans in. They tie your wrist so you cannot pull back. The rope burns your skin even before the water does. The priest holds a stone in the bottom of the cauldron and speaks solemnly. If she is innocent, God will protect her. But the truth is written in every woman's scarred memory. God never protected anyone here. A guard lowers your arm. Heat rushes up like a beast lunging from the dark. Your skin feels as if it is tearing, peeling, screaming. People watch. Some gasp, some smile faintly. Some turn away and return to watch again. Your scream rises from your chest, but never leaves your mouth. You bite down so hard your teeth ache. They pull you back, your arms shaking uncontrollably. The priest nods. The ordeal is done. Now all you can do is wait. They wrap your arm in linen bandages that smell of old herbs and damp cloth. The pain is blinding, sharp, pulsing, relentless. You feel every heartbeat inside the burn, as if your body is on fire from within. The priest tells you to pray. You try, but no words come. You are taken to a small stone cell. The walls are cold, the floor uneven. A dim slit in the wall lets in a thread of light. You sit alone, shaking, trapped between agony and dread. 3 days. That is the rule. 3 days until they unwrap the bandage and read your fate from your flesh. The guards leave, and for the first time, the silence feels suffocating. You stare at your arm, trembling beneath the linen. You know what lies beneath. Blisters, destroyed skin, a wound no human could ever survive clean. You remember the priest's words. If she is innocent, God will protect her. But what kind of protection leaves you mutilated? By nightfall, the whispers return. Women in the prison murmur prayers. Some cry softly. Some are silent. Those are the ones who've accepted their fate. You are somewhere between them, suspended in terror. On the 3rd day, the guards return. You feel the world narrow to a single point as the priest slowly unwraps the linen. The air stings your arm. Your vision swims. You hear your own heartbeat echo in your skull. The priest examines the burn, his eyes cold and unreadable. Your life hangs in the space between his breaths. Finally, he speaks. His verdict is not based on wounds, not on God, not on truth. It is based on what the town expects, what your husband prefers, what the rumor has already decided. In that moment, you understand a harsh, unspoken rule of medieval Europe. Ordeals were never tests of innocence. They were rituals to justify punishment. You're let out of the cell, your arms still throbbing, your breath uneven. Whatever the priest declares next will decide whether you live disgraced or die condemned. The verdict arrives not as a sentence, but as a spectacle. The priest steps forward. Your husband stands behind him. The villagers crowd around like hungry witnesses at a feast made of someone else's suffering. You stand in the center of the square, your burned arm hanging useless at your side. The bandages have been removed. Your wound glistens, angry and raw, like a brand carved by fire. The pain threatens to swallow your thoughts whole, but the shame is even sharper. The priest raises his hand for silence. It falls instantly. He declares that your wound shows signs of impurity, that God has revealed the truth, that your soul has been touched by sin. A lie, a scripted conclusion, a ritual carved from prejudice. But the crowd accepts it without question. Why wouldn't they? They were waiting for this moment. In a world built on fear, Seeing a woman punished makes others feel safe. Your husband steps forward, face stiff. He does not touch you, does not look at your pain. In this society, a man must choose between his honor and his wife's life, and honor always wins. Some punishments require the husband's approval. Others demand his silence. He gives both. The crowd begins to murmur. What will they do to her? Whipping, branding, stoning, parading her through the streets? Each suggestion reveals something about the speaker. Fear, cruelty, boredom, righteousness. And you? You stand motionless, realizing that your body is no longer your own. It is a canvas for the punishment they choose. It is a warning for every woman watching. The priest announces that you will face public penance first, because before medieval Europe punishes the flesh, it must humiliate the soul. They bring out the whip, not to kill you, at least not yet, but to mark you, to break you, to remind the world that a woman accused of adultery must bleed where everyone can see. They strip your upper garments to expose your back. The cold air hits your skin, and you feel hundreds of eyes crawling over you. Men stare openly. Women look away but peek through their fingers. Children whisper, frightened yet fascinated. The first lash strikes. A burning flash of agony explodes across your skin. You gasp, not because you are weak, but because the pain is too sharp, too sudden, too cruel for any human to anticipate. The second lash follows quickly, then the third. Soon, the world becomes a blur of fire and humiliation. Some villagers nod approvingly. Some whisper prayers. Some simply watch, as if none of this concerns them. The whipping is only the beginning. Next comes the walk of shame. They place you on a wooden cart. Your burned arm wrapped in linen, your back bleeding, your feet bare. A sign hangs around your neck with a single word that feels heavier than iron. Adulteress. But the truth remains. You never even committed the crime. As the cart moves, people throw rotten vegetables. Not to harm you, those would be too soft a punishment, but to humiliate you. Someone spits. Someone laughs. Someone mutters that women are weak. That this is what happens. That God is watching. You wonder if he is, or if he ever was. The cart stops at the next village, and the cycle repeats. Each moment strips away a piece of your identity, leaving behind only the title they gave you. Not daughter, not wife, not human, just adulteress. And by the time the parade ends, your body is trembling, your spirit wavering, and your voice lost somewhere deep inside you. But medieval justice is not satisfied. Not yet, because humiliation is only the foundation. The real punishment is still waiting. At dusk, they take you to the edge of the town, a quiet place where the earth is trampled, the air is heavy, and the ground remembers the women who came before you. Some were stoned, some were buried alive, some were hanged, some were executed privately, so their screams would not disturb the marketplace. Tonight, the council would decide your fate. They argue over methods, as if discussing the weather. You sit tied to a post, your body shaking. One man suggests branding your face, so you carry the mark forever. Another proposes imprisonment, though everyone knows women rarely survive it. A third insists public execution is necessary to restore moral order. Your husband says nothing. His silence is permission. The priest finally recommends mercy. But mercy, in medieval Europe, is another word for suffering slowly instead of quickly. They choose banishment. You would think that means freedom. But banishment here is a sentence worse than death. It means no home, no protection, no food, no safety, no right to live in any town. Any man may harm you without consequence. Any village may drive you away with stones. You become a ghost before you are dead. They cut the rope, binding you, and push you forward. The priest makes the sign of the cross. Your husband looks away. No one meets your eyes. You stumble into darkness, body torn, future empty, dignity shattered. Behind you, the town gates close with a heavy thud. It echoes like a coffin lid. You walk, step by painful step, into a night filled with wolves, wolves in the forest, wolves in human form. And as you collapse beside a cold tree trunk, the truth settles into your bones. In medieval Europe, a woman was not punished for cheating. She was punished for existing without permission. The night started normally. Assad was checking the cash register. Hamza was closing the tuck shop shutters, and the security guard was locking the main gate. Everything was routine, until the CCTV screen glitched. A sudden static hissed across the monitors. Hamza frowned. These cameras never glitch, not even in power fluctuation. Assad stepped closer. On camera 3, facing the back entrance of the petrol pump, a strange flicker appeared, like smoke forming into a shape. Within seconds, it became clearer. A woman, standing absolutely still, long hair hanging down, wearing something that looked like an old burial shroud. She wasn't walking. She wasn't turning. She was just there, and her face was blurred with a strange white fog, as if the camera refused to capture it. Assad whispered, "Who is that? Is someone inside?" But the real problem wasn't her presence. The real problem was there was no back entrance where she stood, just a wall. Before they could react, the woman on the screen moved, not like a normal person, not step by step. She shifted, jolting, from one spot to another in a blink, like frames of two different videos stitched together. Hamza's voice cracked. "Bro, rewind it. Rewind it." Assad pulled the footage back 10 seconds. The woman was at the far corner of the frame. He played it again. In one frame, she was far. In the next frame, she was inches from the camera, her blurred face filling the screen like a smear of white fog. The monitor shook with static. Hamza stepped backward, heart pounding. "Assad, this isn't a person. No human can move like that. This is..." Before he could finish, the CCTV lights went out all at once, plunging the room into blackness. A cold gust passed through the office. Despite the windows being locked, Assad felt something brush past him, not touching him, but close enough to steal the warmth from his skin. The lights came back. Everything was normal, except for one thing. A slow, soft knock, coming from the office door. 3 knocks, pauses between them, like someone waiting patiently. Hamza whispered, "Nobody is outside. The guard is at the gate." The knock came again. Calm, gentle, rhythmic. Assad forced himself to check the CCTV feed again. Camera 3, nothing. Camera 4, clear. Gate camera, clear. No one outside the office. But the knocking continued. Assad slowly approached the door, hand trembling. Just as he touched the handle, the knocking stopped. Silence. Then, a single final tap, right next to his ear, on the inside of the door. He froze. Hamza whispered, terrified, "Assad, she's not outside." The room's temperature dropped instantly, cold enough that both could see their breath. Assad took a step back. Something was in the room with them, watching, waiting, breathing the same air they were. The next morning, Assad arrived early at the petrol pump. As he walked toward the fuel station, something unusual caught his eye. Footprints, but not normal ones. They were thin, long, uneven, almost as if someone dragged their feet, and they led from the main gate straight toward the backside of the pump, where no customers ever go. Hamza arrived a few minutes later and froze when he saw them. "Bro, no human feet look like that." The footprints ended right behind the generator room, and then suddenly disappeared, as if the creature jumped or vanished. Both men felt a cold shiver down their spine. Later that night, they decided to check the storage tanks area. It was dark, silent, and covered in shadows. Assad flashed his torch around. Suddenly, a faint whisper came from behind the large diesel tank. "Leave before it's too late." Hamza nearly dropped the torch. "There's someone here," he whispered sharply. They rushed behind the tank. But no one was there. Only the wind, only the darkness. Assad's heart was pounding. That voice, it wasn't normal. It felt non-human, distorted, like someone speaking through layers of cold air. As they prepared to leave, both noticed a figure standing near the empty plot across the road. A man, tall, completely still, wearing a white shawl that fluttered in the wind, even though the air was dead silent. Hamza whispered, Bro, he's been standing there for more than 5 minutes. When the man slowly turned his head toward them, his face was completely blacked out, as if no features existed. And then he raised his hand and pointed directly at the petrol pump, slowly, deliberately, as if warning them or cursing them. When they blinked, he was gone, just empty road. The night suddenly felt heavier. Assad swallowed hard. This place, something is seriously wrong here.